Hey, and welcome to BNS About Movies. This is a special episode. One of my favorite podcasts ended this week. The Cannon Canon and Jeff and Frank did one of my favorite shows. They hopefully will be back. But I thought I'd like to give them a little send off. And if you haven't listened to the show, please go listen to it. It's wonderful. If you love Cannon films as much as I do, it's the perfect show. So my thought was, what if I went deep into the Cannon films that they didn't get to and that they shouldn't have got to, and kind of did them as a tribute to the show. It's a reason why I decided to do a podcast again, because I had so much fun listening to their show. So I'm going to go through some of the Cannon movies that maybe no one has watched, other than I'm sure Austin Trunick, who the writer of the Cannon Film Guide, Volume 1 and 2, and soon to be 3. So here we go.
He was alone, running from a secret past, when his journey led him to his destiny.
Where are you going?
Straight ahead to the sea.
Together, they embark upon a voyage of discovery, where the only rules they obey are the ones they make.
Are you trying to seduce me?
I thought I already had.
It's a bizarre odyssey of passion, adventure, mystery, and sensuality.
You like to give to people, don't you?
You like to take?
Come with them as they explore an unknown world. The Arrogant, starring Sylvia Christel.
When you hear that little keyboard part, that dibble dabble there, you know that you're in for some, I don't know, 80s, late 80s action or something. Anyway, this next movie is The Arrogant from 1988. This is very late in the Cannon run. And it is directed by Philippe Blot, who made 4 movies, 3 of them. This one, In the Shadow of the Sandcastle, and Hot Blood all have Sylvia Christel in them. So you guess what? I've seen 3/4 of his films. I'll also be jealous the entire time I watch him, as he was Sylvia Christel's second husband. In this movie, she plays Julie, a waitress who's decided to hitch a ride with Giovanni, Gary Graham, R.I.P., recent R.I.P. from the Alien Nation TV show, who we know, and she doesn't, has just slept with his wife, Lee Wood, who is also in the R-rated Stocks and Blondes edit of Wonder Whips Wall Street. She has slept with his wife's sister, and then survived an axe attack by her senator father, Joe Condon, who has the amazing screen credit of doing security for the wrestling dog movie Russell Madness. I don't know if anyone else has seen that but me. But he gets the upper hand, and he murders his father-in-law before deciding that he's God. As a driverless black Cadillac and Giovanni's brother-in-laws pursue them, our protagonists have all manner of adventures, like Giovanni being bitten by a snake, and going through drug-like dreams as the venom works its way through his system. 3 mentally challenged brothers giving Julie a sponge bath in a garage. Giovanni keeps cucking men throughout and trying to prove that, yes, he with a uppercase H, is God. He also keeps trying to seduce Julie, who doesn't give in throughout the film. And she's Sylvia Christel. We get it. I mean, just looking at the poster, she has on like a denim skirt and a denim bikini. And there's like a giallo kind of axe murderer behind them while Gary Graham is on a motorcycle. It really makes it look way better than it is. Somehow for a movie weird enough to have animator Chuck Jones play a cop. It also ends with, and here's some spoilers, Giovanni dying as he crashes his motorcycle into a semi. But you know, he's finally scored and he's gotten to have a date and learn biblically about the original Emmanuel and Lady Shatterley. So one imagines you can die at any time and not feel you've wasted a moment of your life. But then the driver of the Cadillac pulls up and it's been Giovanni all along. So this is an art film that makes you want to think it's a sexy movie until you're watching it. And then it's all about philosophy, the kind that college freshmen discover before holiday break. And they come home and they tell their parents and their grandparents that there's no God up in the sky. But then, you know, it has Sylvia Christel in it. So I've gone through worse things for far less attractive people. What I'm really saying is I'm shocked that Vinegar Syndrome hasn't released this movie for $40 with a limited slipcase so people can use the word fever dream in their breathless social posts. Who am I kidding? I have money I'm fiending just to spend on such a release. So somebody put it out and I will buy it. But I don't really know if anybody else cares about this movie. Did you know that Cannon used to have their own movie theaters? Well, at one point, they decided for their matinees, they didn't want to spend money to have Disney movies play there, and they wanted their own movies to play there. So they came up with Cannon Movie Tales, and that's a collective name for a series of 9 live-action films. It was going to be 16, then it was going to be 12. Each cost $1.5 million. Only 9 were released, and we'll get into them. They were produced by Golden Globus, of course, associate producer Patricia Rubin, and executive producer Itzik Cole. They were all filmed on location in Israel, and I assume that there was some tax money there, and also they used a lot of the same actors, a lot of the same sets. But they also have some major stars. They weren't really paying for the stories because they're Brothers Grimm or Charles Perrault stories. But the stars come from the UK and the US, and the Israeli crew is everybody else. They were announced in May of '86 at the Cannes Film Festival, and Disney was doing fairy tales. Cannon can do fairy tales too. And here we go, starting with...
Cannon Films is proud to present a series of classic movie tales. The first, starring Amy Irving. Once, there lived a poor miller's daughter.
Everything she touches turns to gold.
Gold?
Whose greatest wish
You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
was to marry a prince.
Am I missing one thing? To be queen of the castle, I must marry.
It's the magical, musical story of a wicked king.
Then you can spin some straw into gold. For me?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Just a teeny weeny bit.
More, I
A cruel queen.
Poppycock!
You may well think I'm raving, but I'm not.
Only a
A beautiful maiden.
Your friends can't help you now, my pretty.
Send her a miracle.
A dashing prince.
Magical miracle.
And a crafty little elf named...
Oh, no, you don't. I'll keep that to myself.
That was close.
Spinning wheel, spin as I say. Spin into gold, your threads made of hay.
He's a magical elf named...
Rumpelstiltskin?
Amy Irving and Billy Barty.
Rumpelstiltskin! I've been swindled!
Rumpelstiltskin. It's an enchanting, heartwarming story that will delight the entire family. Rumpelstiltskin. Put some magic back in your life.
While not the first Cannon movie tales made, Rumpelstiltskin was the first one to make it to the U.S. It's notable because it's the only movie in which Billy Barty had the lead. It also has Amy Irving's entire family in it. Her father, stepfather, Robert Simmons, plays the miller. She's the miller's daughter. Her brother David directed and wrote this film, and their mother, Priscilla Pointer, is the queen. Richard Harrington's Washington Post review says of this film that Rumpelstiltskin is as bad as a children's movie that's been made in the last 20 years. But in the canon of Golden Globus' Cannon Films, it's about average. Badly written, badly directed, badly acted, and badly made. Screw Richard Harrington. Anyways, the miller's daughter can spin gold out of straw. So in case you don't know the story, the king, Clive Revel, locks her in his castle and demands that she uses that spinning wheel and bale of hay he got her to start making some gold. Her tears bring Rumpelstiltskin, Billy Barty, who promises to use his magic and turn that straw into gold as long as she gives him her firstborn child. I think the downer of the Cannon movie tales is that they should have been made with the same actors they used for their regular films. Can you imagine Chuck Norris as the woodsman shooting the big bad wolf with a rocket launcher? Or Charles Bronson shoving a bowl of porridge in Goldilocks' face and screaming, "You know what this is for?" But we don't get that.
Once upon a time, in a castle just like any other castle, there lived a very special little girl named Zora,
You could speak, I know you'd say, how lucky can she be?
who was looked after by a king.
Do try and act a little bit more like a princess.
And looked down on by a wicked stepsister.
You're always horning in. Why don't you just get your own friends?
But no matter where she looked,
Hi.
the one thing she could never find was a true friend. Until one lucky day, into her life hopped a most magical creature.
Who are you?
I'm a pedigreed amphibian.
Or, is that a new toy? If any lifelike for a toy.
I was a too tall frog.
You slimy, low-life creature.
But the wicked stepsister had other plans for the frog.
I can't live without water.
Wait a minute, where are you going?
My friend is in trouble.
Until Zora risked everything for friendship.
I'm so glad you're all right.
Through the dark, the moonlight streams.
Like the night with silver beams.
Aileen Quinn from Annie. And John Paragon.
Ribbit?
And ribbit to you, too.
In the classic tale where true friendship triumphs. The Frog Prince.
Of me on friendship.
The Frog Prince recycles a lot, to be fair. It has the same set from Rumpelstiltskin, and it also has Clive Revel again as a king. I guess, was he trying to get typecast? Who knows? This has Eileen Quinn from Annie. She's Princess Zora. Helen Hunt, again, these are an A-list movie, plays her sister Henrietta. And this is the real reason I'm really excited about it is The Frog Prince. I never read The Frog Prince. It's not as popular, maybe, at least in my house, as a fairy tale. The Frog Prince is John Paragon, who was Ribbit. And whether he's Jambi or Terry in Pee Wee Herman, or the work that he did with Elvira and the Groundlings, John Paragon is an amazing person. He also directed at least 2 movies for the Barbarian Brothers, which blows my mind. I don't know how he got involved with them. This one was directed and written by Jackson Hunsaker, who also made Oddball Hare and wrote the 89 version of 10 Little Indians for Cannon.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land,
All hail His Royal Highness!
there lived a beloved emperor.
Are the people ready for me? Which is my waving hand?
The thick one.
Oh, that's right. Yes, thick one.
Who was bored of his clothing.
Ask any king from Sweden to Japan. Clothes make the man.
But across the royal tracks, there lived a crafty con man and his good-hearted nephew.
With a taste of this elixir, the lad will walk again now. Don't overdo it.
With the most daring swindle to perform.
Don't call it a crime. Call it an adventure. Feel the adventure about to begin.
We are known as the Weavers of Distinction.
We know how to make clothes so dazzling, innovative, that it has the extraordinary quality of being invisible to anyone who is stupid.
I've got to have these clothes. Weavy.
It's the beloved tale of mystical threads.
It is such fine material, isn't it?
And tailor-made magic.
Love it, I love it, I love it!
It's me all over.
Sid Caesar, Clive Revel, and Robert Morse as the tailor in The Emperor's New Clothes.
Guess who's in The Emperor's New Clothes? If you said Clive Revel, you're right. His third one, and this is directed and written again by David Irving. I guess while they had him there, let's do it. It also has Sid Caesar as the Emperor, which it's a good role for him. Robert Morris is the tailor who attempts to make his clothes. And Lisette Anthony from a movie that was supposed to be a really big deal. She's Lysa from Crawl. Remember when Crawl was going to be the biggest movie of the summer? It's Princess Gilda. With these canon takes on fairy tales, you get long takes on what should be 5-minute before bed tales. But you know, the costumes look really great. There's always a lot of singing. And they're not meant for us, right? They're meant for, we do it on a podcast. Who knows? But they're meant for young viewers. And so was Shelley Duvall's fairy tale theater. And that somehow appealed to young and old alike. These really don't. These appeal to possibly nobody. Then again, the reason for this series seems to be bringing work to Israel and having product to play in your theaters. It really doesn't feel like it's made for the love of kids. But obviously, everyone knows, know the Emperor's New Clothes, but there's an additional romance thrown in between Jason Carter, who plays the tailor's son, and Gilda. You should also keep an eye out for Yehudi Efrani, who I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he is the supporting actor par excellence of Cannon. He started working with Golan and Globus all the way back when he was in Operation Thunderbolt and the Uranium Conspiracy. He is in nearly every Cannon movie. He goes through all of them. He is their best utility player. He's in this, though, and good for him to get some work. Of course, I have a list of what films he was in for Cannon. He shows up in The Happy Hooker Goes Hollywood, Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hype, Nana, Hercules, Night Soldier, Seven Magnificent Gladiators, The Delta Force, $1 Million Madness, Rumpelstiltskin, The Emperor's New Clothes, Sleeping Beauty, Braddock Missing in Action 3, American Ninja 3, Blood Hunt, Sinbad, Hannah's War, and 10 Little Indians. So if you're looking for Yehudi Efrani in a movie, spot him and yell out the magic word and you get the Cannon logo.
Cannon Films is proud to present a classic movie tale. A long time ago, in an enchanted kingdom, there lived a king and queen with no child of their own. Until they resorted to
Magic.
How good it is to wait for a treat. We shall proclaim this day a day of feasting and merriment, to let all our subjects know that we have a new princess.
Everyone was invited to share the joy. Everyone, except the wicked fairy.
So my name is Fairy Red, and she grows from childhood. The girl will drop down dead.
Now, a fairy tale that has delighted generations is the movie your whole family will want to share. Sleeping Beauty, the story of an evil spell. A beautiful princess who sleeps for 100 years.
100 years?
No one has come to save her yet.
The charming prince who awakens her with a kiss. And the love, at last, that lives happily ever after.
How good it is when wishing is done.
Morgan Fairchild, Tawny Welch, and Kenny Baker in Sleeping Beauty. Reawaken the memory and share the magic with your family.
You know, the Cannon movie tales keep coming, and this time, Menachem and Yoram were able to lure David Irving back for one more chance, as well as a cast that includes Morgan Fairchild as the Queen, David Holliday, the voice of Virgil Tracy from Thunderbirds, as her king, and Tawny Welch as their daughter, Princess Rosebud, who was born through the aid of Kenny Baker, the man who played R2-D2 in Willow, before she's cursed by a red fairy, played by Sylvia Miles from Midnight Cowboy, to remind you that you are watching a Cannon movie. Yes, because she was invited to the party, she's destined to die from a finger prick while sewing, so the king gets rid of all the sewing machines, and the people of his kingdom suffer the curse of bad fashion. Perhaps the white fairy played by Go-Go Jane Wiedlin, my favorite Go-Go, can save them all. Man, Jane Wiedlin, she's in Clue as the singing telegram girl. She's a communications officer in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. She's Joan of Arc in the first Bill and Ted movie, alongside Mike Patton and Karen Black in Firecracker, and is the voice of returning Scooby-Doo character and Hex Girl's drummer Dusk in several cartoons. She also directed her own movie, The Pyrex Glitch. I might love Jane Wiedlin. Anyways, the white fairy figures out how to transmute the curse of death into a centuries-long sleep for the entire kingdom. It seems like putting the needs of the few or the one of the many, it's a Star Trek reverse Spock theorem, but there you go. Of course, a prince, Nicholas Clay, Lancelot from Excalibur, and Oliver from Lady Chatterley's Lover, more to my point, comes and saves everyone with a kiss. Oh yeah, the master elf is played by Shaki Ophir, who is Kassam in King Solomon's Mines, Father Nicholas in the Delta Force, and Wells in America 3000, all Cannon films. This is his last role. He was the first mime to ever be a mime in Israel. Want some more facts? Well, you're going to get them. This was written by Michael Burrs, who played Kenny again, talking about Kenny, in Hot Resort. He was also behind Cannon's Snow White, which we just talked about. To save money, Cannon style. This was shot at the same time with Hansel and Gretel. Sounds like a good idea, except the crews fought over equipment, costumes, and what set they were on. Meanwhile, Daryl Hannah's sister Paige, she's one of the girls killed by the raft in Creepshow 2, giving you nightmares forever, was fired after a week of shooting and replaced by Tawny Welch. Then all the fairy costumes got stolen, and then David Irving had just a week to prep for the movie after filming went long on Rumpelstiltskin. That may be why, when asked about this film, he referred to it as a nightmare. Of all the Cannon movie tales, this might be my favorite, but the bar, sadly, is not high.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a good king and fair queen who gave birth to a beautiful princess.
Call her Snow White.
But the queen died, and the king soon remarried a new queen who was quite beautiful but very wicked.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?
Snow White is the fairest.
So you think that she's more beautiful than me?
And would stop at nothing to be the fairest in the land, forcing Snow White to leave the kingdom forever, where she discovers a little tiny house.
Who left the door open?
And 7 little men.
Is it? It's a girl. What's a girl?
Every day it's the magical fairy tale that has delighted families for generations.
There's a castle.
Snow White.
Some nice prince has room to spare.
This time I'll take care of her myself. Ha-ha! Poison apples!
Look! Is she dead?
Arise, my beloved, and be my queen.
Diana Rigg and Billy Barty star in the classic tale where true love is the fairest of them all.
No!
Snow White.
I'm going to be real honest with you. If you have Diana Rigg playing the evil stepmother in Snow White, there's no way I'm going to be on the side of the heroes, right? But also, how crazy is it that Sarah Patterson follows up playing Red Riding Hood in The Company of the Wolves by playing Snow White in this movie? Nicole Stapleton from Cannon's take on Hansel and Gretel is the young version of her in this, by the way. But how amazing is it that Cannon chose to rename all the dwarves so that they weren't anything like the dwarves from Disney's film? The Cannon dwarves... I don't know where these names come from. Biddy, Kitty, Diddy, Fiddy, Jitty, Liddy, and Itty. And Itty is played by, guess who was there already? Yes, Billy Barty. The King is played by Doug Sheldon. Yes, the Doug Sheldon who charted with the cover of Runaround Sue and Your Mom Said You Cried in Your Sleep Last Night in 1963. He's also in Some Girls Do and Cannon's Appointment with Death. We all know the story of Snow White. You know that the king is going to remarry after the death of his wife, and his daughter does not get along with her stepmother. We know there's a poison apple. We know there's a handsome stranger. I mean, you know the story, right? But does Cannon? No, because it is not a kiss that brings Snow White back from death, but her glass coffin getting knocked off a cart and the poison apple getting Heimlich maneuvered out of her mouth as a result. That's how it happens in the original book, but maybe for once, Cannon does know more than Disney when it comes to making fairy tale movies. This is the only Cannon movie tales that get a PG rating, so watch out, parents. Director and writer Michael Burrs also wrote Cannon's version of Sleeping Beauty and painfully appears in Hot Resort as Kenny, one of the many young adults trying to get some, which one assumes is the best training to be the creator of a fairy tale movie.
Proud to present a classic movie tale. There once lived a very wealthy man with 4 spoiled children.
My shoes won't do.
Where's my supper?
And one daughter who truly loved him. Her name was Beauty.
You need me to keep you in line.
Excuse us, but that would be fine.
Dreadful news.
But tragedy struck, and he had to promise one of his daughters to a prince in a faraway kingdom.
It's magnificent here.
But her new home was no ordinary castle. And her new mate was no ordinary prince.
Do you find me very ugly, Beauty?
I see a strange beast.
To win her heart, the beast grants her every wish.
Just wish for the moon and the moon will appear, lighting the sky just for you.
And Beauty comes to realize that the beast truly loves her.
Don't leave me.
I thought you had deserted me.
If you see with your heart every dream waiting to come true.
You give me more than I've ever been given.
Rebecca de Mornay and John Savage. Beauty and the Beast. Because true love makes everything beautiful.
4 years before Disney made what for many is the Beauty and the Beast, Cannon got there first. Directed by Eugene Marner, who also made Cannon's Puss in Boots. Don't worry, we're getting to it. This is written by his wife, Carol Lucia Stratina, who also wrote that film, Puss in Boots, Red Riding Hood, and 3 episodes of Tales from the Dark Side, Parlor for Font, In the Cards, and The Odds. This may have one of the most well-recognized leads in this movie is Beauty and the Beast. Beast is played by Rebecca de Mornay, and John Savage is Beast. And that is Yossi Graber, who was in Operation Thunderbolt for Golden Globus. But I don't expect anyone to know, but Cannon Bros to know that. And he is the Beauty's father. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. These should have been Cannon fan service films, even though maybe Cannon fans didn't come around until now. But can you imagine Lucinda Dickey playing the Beauty, Bronson as the Beast? When the two of them realize that ninjas led by Shokasuji are taking over Father's kingdom, he eats 10 cabbages, grabs his specially made crossbow, and because it's directed by Michael Winter, probably we get to see Rebecca Mornay's top get shredded with a whip. Anyway, let's go with Sam Furstenberg to make this. I think it'll be a much more kid-friendly movie while getting Bronson in there.
Cannon Films is... Once upon a time, there lived a poor peasant boy with nothing to his name but a clever little cat and a magical pair of boots. Academy Award winner Christopher Walken stars as the enchanting Puss in Boots.
These boots will change our lives, Master. We'll never want for anything again.
When his master falls for a beautiful princess, Puss will do anything to bring the boy his true love.
Gift of my most noble master, the illustrious Marquis of Carabas.
Who is the Marquis of Carabas? Who is he? And why don't we know the name?
When they find out who we are, they're going to throw us both in the dungeon.
If it is not all exactly as I've heard, you will...
Now, for the first time on screen, the magical, musical story of a shy boy.
Dance.
No! A bold princess.
You've got to stick your neck out now and then.
A terrible ogre.
I can become whatever I like!
And a very clever cat. Christopher Walken and Jason Connery star in Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots. Oh man, again, as we said, directed by Eugene Marner. His wife Carlo wrote it. This has quite a star in its cast. It's got Christopher Walken as Puss, the cat who can change into a man. And for his master Corin, that's Jason Connery, yes, the son of Sean. Corin is the son of a poor man who gave him Puss in his will. And when this cat becomes a man, he makes it seem like Corin is a very rich man. That fake wealth gets him introduced to Princess Vera, who is Carmela Marner, who, of course, is the director and writer's daughter, who he falls in love with. There's also an ogre who can turn himself into a lion, a tiger, and a bear. A lot of transformation here. And while that may be frightening to kids, despite Golden Globes' marketing to make this play in their British theater for matinees, I'm not sure how many kids wanted to see this. Then again, Christopher Walken is a singing and dancing cat, and that's definitely, I think that's always worth your time, right?
Cannon Films is proud to present a classic movie tale. Once upon a time, near a dark and very scary forest, there lived a poor woodcutter and his family, who were so poor they had almost nothing to eat.
The four of us are going to starve.
Until one day, Hansel and Gretel went off to find some food.
Maybe she lives underneath a chocolate tree.
But what they found instead
Everything looks like cookies and candies.
was someone magical
Welcome, children. So
who couldn't wait to feed them. And of course,
She's a witch.
eat them.
Eat by day.
Hansel!
Eat by night.
Gretel!
In a week, you'll be plump. Right. Hocus pocus, then place the switch, make Griselda a gingerbread witch.
This is the story of Hansel and Gretel. A story with a happy ending for everyone. Well, almost everyone. David Warner and Cloris Leachman in Hansel and Gretel, a delicious new musical version of every family's favorite fairy tale.
Hansel is Hugh Pollard. Gretel is Nicole Stapleton. Pollard and Stapleton were both on the British show Simon and the Witch. They've discovered the gingerbread house of Griselda, Cloris Leachman. And if you know the original Brothers Grimm story, you know things aren't going to go easy. The parents of this duo are David Warner and Emily Richard. This at least has some talented British actors in the cast. It was directed by Len Talon, who had written Cannon's The Emperor in His New Clothes, and had a script by Nancy Weems, who never wrote a thing before or since, according to IMDb. This movie also uses songs from Engelbert Humperdinck's opera, Hansel and Gretel. I am this many years old until I discovered that Engelbert Humperdinck wrote an opera, much less an opera of this fairy tale. I love that Golden Globus created these to play. I mean, after Cannon went out of business and the ultimate indignity, they made these so they wouldn't show Disney movies in Cannon theaters. The Disney Channel bought these and aired them as part of their Storybook Cinema series of films. Cannon, I've been abusive to you guys on this episode, made you listen to all of them. I promise there's only one left. But I watched each and every one of these. They are all on Tubi, and I actually own them all on DVD. They've never come out on Blu-ray. They never will, probably. God, look at somebody put out a box set of them and prove me wrong. I got them at the dollar store, or the $1.25 store now, because Dollar Tree has double features and 4-way packs of all the Cannon family movies. So if you want to watch them again and again, like me, come over, let's watch them. Anyway, there's one left, and I promise it won't be painful.
Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a poor but kind peasant with a beautiful wife and a curious daughter called Red Riding Hood. Isabella Rossellini stars in the story of a wicked king.
Put him in the dungeon.
Have you no heart?
With a very special friend.
Wolf into man, fast as you can. There's that devilish profile. There's that glistening smile.
Nanny Bess is not feeling very well. I wanted to take her some cake and cider.
You should never talk to strangers.
you'll get nothing but regret.
It's the musical version of every family's favorite fairy tale.
What big eyes you have, Grandma.
Better to see you, my dear.
What big teeth you have, Grandma.
Better to eat you.
It's the story of Red Riding Hood. Amelia Shankly, Craig T. Nelson, and Isabella Rossellini star in Red Riding Hood.
Red Riding Hood is all about Lynette, Amelia Shankly, exploring the forest. She's followed by a wolf, but not just anyone. The big bad one, or as this movie calls him, Dagger, played by Rocco Sisto. Luckily, she's under the protection of Peter the Woodsman, who thinks she's fearless. She's actually just the kind of brave that she has to be in the face of stupidity, because if you knew there was a killer wolf, the kind that don't scratch on no doors, if we may use the poetry of one Glenn Danzig, in the woods you wouldn't go there looking for fairies. But she has bigger problems. Her mother, Lady Jean, is hiding in the woods because her husband, Lord Percival, has been replaced by his evil twin brother, Lord Godfrey. And oh man, both those roles are played by Craig T. Nelson. It's been 7 years since Percival went to war and he's legally dead. So guess what? Lady Jean is played by Isabella Rossellini, the same year that she made canon classic Tough Guys Don't Dance. So that means Godfrey gets to know her biblically. He also wants to teach her daughter the meaning of fear by unleashing the big bad Dagger on her, who even eats her by the end of the film, and they cut his stomach open and she's alive and inside the stomach of the big bad wolf. This is also has a song in which the Dagger explains to Lynette why it's fine to talk to strangers. This very adult version of Red Riding Hood for kids was directed by Adam Brooks, who wrote Bridget Jones' The Edge of Reason and Practical Magic. And this was again written by, you can guess, Carol Lucia Citra, whose credits include Puss in Boots. And we also talked about 3 episodes of Tales from the Dark Side. That is all of the canon movie tales. But you know what? This has been a really long episode. Here's one more movie. I did all these kids movies. Here's a total adult scum movie, and that's what Canon's all about.
St. Joseph's Island, a prosperous British colony.
Beautiful land of beautiful women.
Home of a decadent ruling class. A class that has fallen victim to its obsessions. A land where oppression rules by the crack of a Dragonard. And an innocent man.
You have no evidence. Arrest him!
Is accused of murder. To survive, he must lead the people to revolt.
Be burned!
To end the reign of a brutal dictator. We show them no mercy. Oliver Reed, Eartha Kitt, and Herbert Lom, master of Dragonard Hill.
Oliver Reed is Captain Shanks, a drunken, rambling slave ship captain. He's playing the exact role that you want Oliver Reed to play. Herbert Lom is Lafarge, who has murdered the governor and taken over the Caribbean island of San Joseph's. Claudia Udy is Arabella, the sexually obsessive daughter who lusts after the slaves and any man around. Eartha Kitt is Naomi, her business partner that runs the brothel on the island and who's fomenting a revolution. Annabelle Schofield from Blood Tide is Honorio Juno, Lafarge's wife, who wants to get into bed with anyone else. And the man that wants to sleep with all of them, and will, is Patrick Warburton. Yes, Putty. He's a Scottish nobleman who sexes everyone up and gets lashed in the public square for it with a brutal Dragonard whip. Oh man, Dragonard. It was directed by Gerard Kikkonine, who made the adult films Never Enough, The Tale of Tiffany Less with Radley Metzger, as well as the softcore movies Lady Libertine and Love Circles. That definitely played on Cinemax After Dark. He also made the Jekyll and Hyde riff Edge of Sanity, which starred Anthony Perkins. Arrow just put that out. And the Robert Vaughn and Donald Pleasance starring Buried Alive, which you can get from Vinegar Syndrome, and I 100% recommend it. And this was based on a series of books by Rupert Gilchrist. It was written by Richard Marks, who wrote the adult series Taboo, as well as Doom Asylum, Warrior Queen, the 2 gore movies, of course, and platoon leader. And does that all make sense once you heard that this is from it's the Gore movies? Because there's two Dragonards. There's Dragonard and Master of Dragonard Hill. They shot them together, and they're co-written and produced by Harry Alan Towers. Yes, that's right. The man that made a whole bunch of movies with Jess Franco. So yeah, I kind of love that Towers became part of the Cannon family at this point. He made several movies with them, Lightning the White Stallion, the two aforementioned Gore movies, which are some of the worst movies you'll ever see, Platoon Leader, and American Ninja 3, which is pretty decent. That's in the mainline Cannon world. And then he produced River of Death, 10 Little Indians, Delta Force 3, The Killing Game, and The Hitman for Ovidio J. Asinitis' led Cannon Productions. At the same time, he worked with Menachem on Phantom of the Opera and Dance Macabre. So there were no favorites played by Harry Alan Towers in the breakup of Cannon. But man, why didn't he hire Jess Franco to make this? Should have hired Jess Franco to make both of the Gore movies too. I think, yeah, they wouldn't have been good, but they would have been great. I think they would have just been something different instead of whatever this movie is. It is, oh boy, only 30 people have watched it on Letterboxd. I'm really shooting for, really high ratings on this show. Anyways, that's a lot of Cannon. That's 40 minutes of Cannon. Did you make it the whole way to the end? I sure hope so. Thank you to the Cannon Canon for doing your show every week. It is an inspiration, and I've listened to every episode, and I will definitely go back and listen to them all again. Also, thanks to Austin Trunick of the Cannon Film Guide, who put out the Bible for Cannon, and there's a third one coming, which I can't wait to devour. I had to pause and do the last one like a movie day, because otherwise I would have read it all in one sitting, even though it's a gigantic book. And to you, thanks for listening to this episode. If you'd like to hear more about Cannon, just Skype me or call me if you have my number. I'm willing to talk about it whenever you'd like. I love Cannon films, quite honestly. Hopefully you heard it in this episode. If you want to hear more about movies, reach out to me on the website, bnsaboutmovies.com. The email address is bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com. And every Saturday night, you can watch the Drive-In Asylum double feature with me and Bill Van Ryn from Drive-In Asylum, as we pick two movies, hence the double feature name. And we talk about them. We show the ad campaigns. We make drinks for them. And we have great guests, too, and an awesome chat room. So until next episode, this is Sam. Thanks for listening.